All right, today, friends, we will be reading Chapter 4, A Close Call. Kate grabbed Mike's arm. "What do you mean?" she asked. "Miss Sanders is a Cubs fan. Why would she want the Cubs to lose the World Series? Doesn't she want to break the Billy Goat curse?" Mike threw the baseball from one hand into the other. It made a smacking sound. "Maybe not," he said. "If the Billy Goat curse is broken, she won't be able to make all this money selling Billy Goat t-shirts and hats. Plus, maybe she's still mad at the Cubs for kicking her grandfather out of the game." Kate looked back at Miss Sanders and Billy. She was doing a lot of business. "But that's just a guess," she said. "You don't have any proof it's her." Mike smiled. "But I do have proof that she's planning on the Cubs losing. If you ask me, that's pretty strange for such a big Cubs fan." He pulled out his phone. He tapped the screen a few times to show Kate some pictures. "I took this when I was looking for my ball and Miss Sanders' stuff." Kate's jaw dropped. Mike's picture showed a Billy Goat curse t-shirt, but instead of reading "The Cubs World Series winners," it said "The Cubs, better luck next year." On it was a picture of Billy wearing 4 bright red socks on his feet and a Red Sox hat on his head. Think about it. Miss Sanders has been around Fenway the whole time, Mike said. She could have messed with the Cubs baseballs, and she could have easily untied Billy today when no one was looking, and no one would suspect her since she says she wants the Cubs to win. "No one but you, Mike," Kate said. She tapped her foot. "It doesn't seem like she'd do it, but I guess she could have." We have to stop her before she does something else to the Cubs," Mike said. Just then, a big roar went up from the crowd. Kate and Mike ran to the railing overlooking the field. The Red Sox had scored a run. There were runners on second and third, and the Red Sox were ahead 1-0 in the bottom of the third inning. "Come on," Kate said. Let's get back to the game. If the Red Sox end up winning tonight, they'll play again in Chicago. Then we can tell Louie and Red about the t-shirt we found in Miss Sanders' bin. If she's messing up the Cubs, they'll be able to stop her." Mike nodded. He and Kate raced back to their seats. By the time they got there, the Cubs were at bat again. The next inning flew by. Both teams fought hard, but neither scored. Loopy Linfield pitched really well for Boston. He didn't let the Cubs get any more hits until Louie got up in the 5th inning and hit a home run. Mike popped out of his seat and cheered. "The Cubs have tied the game," he yelled. "Go Cubs!" The score stayed tied for the next couple of innings. After the 7th inning stretch, Kate's mother joined Mike and Kate in their seats. As with the Cubs, the Boston bats had grown quiet. But in the bottom of the 8th, the fans cheered when Big D stepped up to the plate. The batter before him had hit a double. If Big D could get a hit, Boston might score. Big D walked up to home plate. He spun his foot back and forth in the dirt and took a few practice swings. His arm muscle stood out in the bright lights. The Cubs pitcher studied Big D and waited for the right sign from his catcher. He shook off 2 signs and then nodded and stood up straight. A second later, the ball snapped out of his hand and flew towards home plate. Big D turned on his heel and swung his bat around in the blink of an eye. Bam! The ball exploded off the bat. It shot straight over the shortstop's head and dropped between the outfielders. The Boston runner on second ran around third and headed for home. Big D rounded first and headed for second. The Cubs left fielder grabbed the ball and hurled it towards the catcher. The Boston runner was almost home. He slid. The ball snapped into the catcher's glove. He brushed the leather against the arm of the Boston runner. The umpire waited for a second as the dust died down, and then he swung his arms out to each side. safe. The Red Sox had scored on Big D's hit. They were ahead by 1 run now. Unfortunately, the Red Sox couldn't make their luck go any further. The next Boston batter struck out and ended the inning. At least they were ahead. When the Cubs got up in the 9th inning, they didn't have much luck either. The first 2 batters got out, but then Louie walked up to the plate. Mike and the other Cubs fans stood up and yelled as Louie took a few practice swings. A chant started, "Louie! Louie! Louie!" Louie dipped his batting helmet. He let the first ball fly by for a strike, but he unwound on the second pitch. Pow! It was a huge fly ball. The ball flew toward the right field wall as the Boston outfielder raced back. He leapt up and stretched into the air. The top of the fielder's glove captured the ball. "It's an out!" Kate called. She jumped up and down. "The Red Sox won! The Red Sox won!" Mike slumped into his seat as the Boston fans celebrated. I guess at least that means the Cubs will get a chance to win the World Series in Chicago," he said. "Yes, you're right, Mike," Mrs. Hopkins said. "But do you 2 know what else it means?" Mike looked at Kate. They both shrugged. Mrs. Hopkins smiled. "Well, it means I'll have to work for the rest of the World Series," she said. "So how would you like to come with me to Chicago for the last 2 games? We can get your homework from your teachers and take it with us."